Welcome to Legacy Voices, midnight orations from Black Greek letter organizations. Tonight, we spend time with the teachings of one of the great professors of the last century. This is a collection of his words and philosophy. History remembers the man who had a dream. It rarely asks who gave him the blueprint. Before Martin Luther King Jr. ever stood on a bridge in Selma, he sat in a pew. Every Tuesday morning, listening to a college president who refused to let him settle for less than his best. Questions about purpose, questions about discipline, questions about what a black man's excellence would cost him, and what it would prove. King himself would later put a name to what happened in that chapel. My spiritual mentor and my intellectual father. That is how he described the man at this podium. Not a professor he once had, but the person who shaped the minister and the man he would become. Decades later, a Morehouse professor of religion would put it more simply. You can see Mays all through King. Most people know the dreamer. Few know the man who taught him how to dream on purpose. Brother Benjamin Elijah Mays believed intelligence without character was unfinished work. Tonight, we revisit the teachings of the man they called the schoolmaster of the civil rights movement, not to admire history, but to ask a question every generation inherits. What is the measure of a life?
The tragedy of life lies in having no goal to reach.
He said it in the unhurried cadence of a man who had said it 1,000 times and meant it every time, reminding row after row of young men that ambition without direction is only motion. That the years they had been given were not owed to comfort. They were owed to purpose. At first the question sounds almost too simple. What is your goal? But Mays wasn't asking about careers. He was asking something far more uncomfortable. What are you building your life around? Whether you are deep in the side hustle or enjoying work-life balance, who are you doing it for? Every generation raises its own invisible measuring stick. Sometimes it is title, sometimes it is money, sometimes it is power. Today it might be attention, followers, likes, glaze, or the appearance of a rival. We have never had more ways to measure achievement, and we have rarely been less certain what achievement is for. Brother Mays felt that purpose was a driving indicator of who we can become. Today, the opportunity has never been as plentiful to find out why you do what you do. Like Common said, you have to find out how to be. Mays looked past accomplishment toward purpose, because a life moving quickly in the wrong direction is not progress. It is only speeding to get lost. That idea feels strangely modern. Machines can now write, calculate, even advise, faster than any student in his chapel ever could. The world keeps asking us to move faster. Mays asked his students to become clearer. Toward what? Toward whom? Toward what kind of person? And most importantly, to what societal benefit? He turns from ambition to character, the second half of the same lesson. A goal, he tells them, is only as good as the hands that carry it. He speaks of standards, not the standard of passing, but the standard of no one, living or dead or yet to come, being able to do the work better. Excellence, he insists, is not a compliment. It is a discipline. Benjamin Mays spent decades surrounded by young men who would go on to shape a movement. Men such as Julian Bond, Maynard Jackson, Don Clendenon, Sam Hildred, and Andrew Young. He understood something every real teacher eventually learns. Knowledge changes what a person can do. Character decides what they will do and how they will do it. A student today can learn almost anything from a screen. A machine can draft the essay, write the program, explain the complicated idea. Technology has lowered the cost of information. It has not lowered the cost of wisdom. The deciphering of knowledge into character, with or without technologies, is what Mays says will determine who you will be. Wisdom still asks a question no tool can answer for you. Should you? Not can you. Mays never separated the classroom from the conscience. A school could train a mind. Only a life could train a will. He provided the wisdom to improve one's will for life. One without the other, he believed, was an unfinished education. And a mind is a terrible thing to waste. He turns to the cost of excellence in an unjust world, reminding his students that the standard he held them to was never about proving something to those who doubted them. It was about becoming the kind of people history could not afford to forget, regardless of who was watching. Sacrifice, he tells them, was not a burden laid on them from outside. It was the price of a purpose worth having. They do not need to take up the cross for this sacrifice that was already done. But it's an internal sacrifice that tells the world that their life has meaning and their cause is just. Every generation inherits a temptation. Earlier generations often believed a person's worth came from sacrifice. To prove your worth, you have to give up part of who you were. Ours often believes worth comes from output. Hustle, grind, never stop, metrics, metrics, metrics. The words sound motivational until they become identity. Some young people have never known adulthood without a scoreboard running underneath it. They don't assess their worth without productivity. Like an AI agent, it's about how much you do and how well you do it. Grades, metrics, views, followers, milestones. Everything becomes measurable. Even more so, everything becomes a number in the vein of what modern machines excel in. Except the things that matter most are not defined by that. Can a transcript measure courage? Can a resume measure the risk of standing up when it was dangerous to? Can stats and BI measure when you level up to a better person than you were before? Can a following measure whether the people around you were better for having known you? Benjamin Mays lived through segregation, poverty, and a world built to convince him he was less. He experienced the worst mankind has to offer. No one could accuse him of underestimating hard work. To get where he was, it wasn't a prerequisite, it was mandatory. Yet he refused to let work become the whole definition of a life. There is a difference between making a living and making the kind of life other people build their own on top of. The kind of life that great men in their own right look at and say, I want to be like him. In his closing charge, he returns to the students themselves, reminding them that the measure of what he had given them would never be found in his own name, but in theirs. He will be defined by the actions of his students. A teacher's success, he tells them, is invisible by design. It is only ever seen secondhand, in the lives of the people who were taught to reach higher than they were told they could. Near the end of his career, Benjamin Mays returned again and again to the same conviction. A meaningful life is not measured by applause, nor comfort, nor status. It is measured by faithfulness to your calling, to your principles, to the people entrusted to you. For him it was his students. Those words sound almost old-fashioned. In a world of instant results, who needs to reflect? But perhaps that is why his words endure. Fashions change. Character does not. Training methods change. Long after the applause is forgotten, people remember who taught them to reach to find meaning in their life. Long after the titles disappear, the students remain, ready to teach the generation after them. Long after the work is finished, someone else inherits the standard that was set for them. Benjamin Mays taught the man who taught a movement. But perhaps his greatest lesson was never how to lead. It was how to make someone else ready to. 5 days after King was assassinated, it was Mays who stood before the crowd at Morehouse to deliver his eulogy. The two men had long ago agreed, Whoever lived longer would deliver the last word on the other. Respect. This influence never moved in only one direction. In the first episode, we take a look at his star pupil, Martin Luther King Jr. In the second episode of this series, Nicky Giovanni sat across from Julian Bond, another Morehouse man shaped by Mays, another leader who carried his standard forward. One student, Mays shaped directly, in his own office, across his own desk. The other, he shaped through the room he built and the standard he set inside it. Indirectly, the way a river carries something from its source without ever naming it. Tonight, both debts come due. Tonight, he leaves us with 3 questions. What are you pursuing? Who are you preparing, even quietly, even without credit? And when your own story is told, by what measure will your life be remembered? Thank you for joining this midnight oration. What are you pursuing? Who are you quietly preparing? By what measure will your life be remembered, and by whom? Leave your reflections below. Until next time, find your purpose, guard your character, and leave the room better than you found it.